The LA Kings return to the road and return to the loss column. Details on that and more on this edition of Locked On LA Kings.
You are Locked On Kings, your daily podcast on the Los Angeles Kings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, Kings fans, welcome to Locked On LA Kings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thanks for making Locked On LA Kings your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcasts and on YouTube. I'm Eddie Garcia, your host of Locked On LA Kings. I've worked in sports media for the past 30 years, co-host of the Puck Podcast, a weekly NHL review show that's been putting out content for the last 18 years. New episode out today. And a passionate LA Kings fan for over 30 years. This episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. The LA Kings played game 66 of the NHL regular season, coming off a rough game, albeit a win over the Nashville Predators, 1-0 in overtime on Quinton Byfield's goal. Kings were on the road in Minnesota to take on the scrappy but banged up Wild, as they were holding down the number one wildcard spot in the West. Kings came in with a record of 36-20-9 on the season, 13-17-5 on the road. The Kings were looking for their sixth straight win and also looking to move back into second place in the Pacific Division in the battle for home ice advantage in the first round of the playoffs. Looking at the Kings roster in this one, it is a familiar roster. As for the sixth game in a row, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Kings were sticking with that 12-6 setup. Ever since the trade deadline, they have had Andrei Kopitar centering Adrian Kempe and Andrei Kuzmenko, Philip Deneau centering Warren Fogle and Trevor Moore, Quinton Byfield centering Alex Laferriere and Kevin Fiala, and Samuel Helenius centering Tanner Jeannot and Alex Turcotte. Once again, the healthy scratches as far as the forwards were concerned were Akil Thomas and Trevor Lewis. The defensive pairs staying the same, Mikey Anderson along with Drew Doughty, Vladislav Gavrikov with Brant Clark, and Joel Edmondson with Jordan Spence. The two healthy scratches as far as the blue liners were Jacob Moverara and Kyle Burrows. Darcy Kemper got the start in net. David Riddick, the backup. Kemper going into this game, fresh off the news that he was the NHL's number one star of the week, posting back-to-back shutouts. So the big question for me going into this game is the Kings return to the road to take on a team in the Minnesota Wild that's holding down a playoff spot. How would the Kings take their recent good play at home, including a 4-game winning streak at home, on the road? Well, game summary in this one, pretty good start for the Kings on the road in this one. LA would take advantage of a power play opportunity with Adrian Kempe scoring to give LA a 1-0 lead. Yes, you heard me right, Kings fans. A power play goal on the road, no less. However, Minnesota would tie it up in the second period with a power play goal of their own. That was the only goal scored, despite the fact the Kings outshot Minnesota in that second period 13-5. The Wild outscored the Kings 1-0. In the third, it was looking like maybe we'd have another overtime game. It did feel like the first goal would probably be the game-winning goal, and less than 5 minutes to go in regulation, it would be Minnesota scoring again on the power play to take a 2-1 lead. They would then ice the victory with an empty net goal. Final score, Wild 3, Kings 1. LA falls to 36-21-9 on the season, 13-18-5 on the road. Their 5-game winning streak comes to an end, and they remain in third place in the Pacific Division. We'll update you on the Pacific Division standings coming up a little bit later. As for the game stats in this one, again, Kings lose 3-1. Shots on goal, 29-22 in favor of the Kings. As far as the special teams go, Minnesota wins that, scoring on 2 of their 3 power play opportunities. The Kings did get a power play goal, but went 1 for 4 with the man advantage. Faceoffs did favor the Kings 26-20. Hits slightly favored Minnesota 19-18. Block shots favored LA 20-11. So what was good from a team standpoint for the LA Kings? Well, I thought their energy level and their compete level was right there from the start of the game, something that hasn't always been the case on the road. I thought the Kings played 3 pretty good periods of hockey. None of them were necessarily great, but good, probably good enough to get a win. 29 shots on goal is a solid number. We've seen the Kings struggling lately as far as getting shots on goal. 29 is enough. 29 is pretty good. 8 in the first, 13 in the second, 8 in the third. So the Kings did have a good shot mentality. I thought they did an okay job of getting pucks on net, getting players to the net. The Kings looked okay on the power play. I mean, their lone goal did come with the man advantage. The defensive coverage, especially 5-on-5, was pretty good. Kings didn't allow many odd man rushes or grade A quality scoring chances. No breakaways to speak of. So the defensive coverage, which the Kings are pretty much known for, was pretty much there throughout this game. What was not so good for the Kings from a team standpoint? Well, the penalty kill, which has been so reliable this season, wasn't good enough in this one, allowing 2 power play goals, and ultimately that was the difference in the game. The PK wasn't terrible, but again, you give up 2 power play goals to a team ranked 19th in the NHL on the power play, a team that's missing its best offensive threat in Kirill Kaprizov, who's injured, and obviously that is a disappointing result. The second period, the Kings, usually that's their worst period in a game. Traditionally, that's been their worst period going on the season. But the Kings outshoot the Wild again 13-5, and yet LA was outscored 1-0 in that period. So the Kings were the better team in the second, but didn't have any results to show for it on the scoreboard. As a matter of fact, the scoreboard said they were not the better team in the period. The Kings could have done a little bit better job of finishing some of their chances. I will say that I thought Minnesota goalie Philip Gustafsson was pretty solid in net, so you do have to give the other team some credit. But he wasn't out of this world, but he did make some solid saves. And the Kings just weren't good enough in this one. As for our coach's quote from head coach Jim Hiller, he said about this game, quote, "We got a little sloppy in the third. Second period, I thought we played really well. Good period. We probably had enough chances to come out with the lead in the third. I think that was probably important. Gustafsson played very well, I thought. I don't know if anybody else thought that. We probably still turned up way too many chances where we had a chance to shoot with traffic. Q finally got to the net. We hit him twice in the leg when he was in front of Gustafsson. One of those nights where when we finally put it there, we didn't get anything. That's a winnable game. It's a mistake. It's execution on their side at the end." End quote. And I believe the mistake that he was referring to was probably the Trevor Moore tripping penalty in the third period, which Minnesota ended up scoring the go-ahead goal on. So my big takeaway from the game, the Kings didn't play bad. Matter of fact, I think they probably played a better team game overall than they did when they beat the Islanders and the Predators. But it is still a game where putting the puck in the net is what really matters, and they didn't obviously do that enough, just getting the 1 goal. And overall, while they didn't play poorly, didn't play well enough to win, obviously, just getting 1 goal is not enough to get it done. It's not a bad loss on the road against a team that's, holding down a playoff spot. But with the way the Kings have been playing lately, riding a 5-game winning streak, taking on a team that is beat up right now, the Wild have some significant players out due to injury. Add it all up, and it does feel like the Kings should have had a better outcome in this one. Was this the worst game of the year? Not even close. But as Jim Hiller himself said, it's a winnable game. And it was a winnable game, and the Kings, unfortunately, did not play well enough to get 2 points out of this one. We are going to talk about some of the individual performances for the LA Kings in their loss to the Minnesota Wild. That's next here on Locked On LA Kings, your team every day. Looking to optimize your nutrition this year? Factor makes eating easy with chef-prepared, dietitian-approved meals that are fresh, never frozen, and ready to heat and eat in just 2 minutes. With 40 options across 8 dietary preferences, everything that you can imagine, you can customize your meals to fit your lifestyle, whether it's Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, or Keto. Plus, Factor even offers wholesome smoothies, breakfast, and grab-and-go snacks to keep you fueled all day long. I love how Factor takes the stress out of meal planning. The convenience is unbeatable. No prep, no mess, just good food in minutes. Eat Factor or eat smarter with Factor. Get started at factormeals.com/LockedOnNHL50 off. Use the code LockedOnNHL50 off, and you will get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code LockedOnNHL50 off at factormeals.com/LockedOnNHL50 off, and you will get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Also looking for a snack that's both delicious and nutritious? Check out a good source of protein with Wonderful Pistachios. Wonderful Pistachios is one of the highest protein nuts. Each 1 ounce serving has 6 grams of protein, giving you over 10% of your daily value. Plus, they're packed with fiber and better for you unsaturated fats to help you feel fuller longer. It's the perfect grab-and-go snack for busy days, whether you're snacking at your desk, on a road trip, or just need a quick protein boost. And if you love cracking open every shell for that satisfying crunch, the in-shell options are a classic favorite. Wonderful Pistachios is a complete protein, providing all 9 essential amino acids. Whether you're running between meetings or dropping off kids, Wonderful Pistachios is the snack that works as hard as you do. Get snacking and get cracking with the snack that packs a protein punch. Visit wonderfulpistachios.com to learn more. Let's get into some of the individual performances for the LA Kings in their loss to the Minnesota Wild. And as usual, we will start with the goaltender, the reigning #1 star of the week in the NHL, Darcy Kuemper. Played well enough for the Kings to win, in my opinion. I don't usually point the fingers at the goaltenders, especially this year for the most part for the LA Kings, especially when Darcy Kuemper has been in net. Didn't allow a goal 5-on-5. Both of the Minnesota goals were on the power play. Now, the first goal was a seeing eye point shot that was deflected in front. You do hate to see goals go in when they're shot from that far out, but the only way any goalie is going to make a save on that is if the deflection just happens to deflect into his body. So that one was not a soft goal. Second goal, also on the power play. The shot was a wrister from the left faceoff dot, goes off the left post and in. Regardless if you thought if those were soft goals or acceptable goals or not, giving up 2 goals should still get you a win on most nights. Kuemper did have one grade A pad save on a redirect in the first period. That was one that Minnesota probably should have scored on, but Kuemper kept it out of the net, so he definitely gets credit for that one. But in the end, allowing 2 goals on 21 shots, he takes the loss. Darcy Kuemper falling to 22-9-7 overall in the year, and now 8-8-5 on the road. Obviously, his record on the road is also a reflection of the LA Kings, and it's really amazing when you think about it, how the LA Kings have been such a Jekyll and Hyde team in certain areas, home to road, and penalty killed the power play. They've been amazing at home, not amazing on the road. They have a great penalty kill, although we didn't see it maybe necessarily in this game, and obviously not a very good power play. So just very odd how that works for the LA Kings. Adrian Kempe had the Kings' lone goal, power play goal, beautiful one-timer. His team leading 28th goal of the season, also leads the team with 55 points. Looks like the Kings now at least have a clear plan on what they're trying to do on their power play. It seems like they're trying to set up either Adrian Kempe or Kevin Fiala on the wings for one-timers. And it's not a bad plan. It's worked for a few power play goals recently. And we saw Adrian Kempe with a perfect shot on the one-timer to get the Kings their 1 goal, a power play goal. As for Kevin Fiala, I thought he was really active in this game. He drew 2 penalties because of his stick handling and his ability to maneuver around defenders and them sticking their stick in his skate to trip him. I thought he looked dangerous with the puck on his stick throughout. He had the primary assist on the Adrian Kempe goal. The pass on the one-timer is almost as important as the shot. The pass has to be perfect so that the player can get off that shot as quickly and as accurately as possible. And the Fiala pass to Kempe was absolutely perfect. For Fiala, his 20th assist and his 45th point on the season. I've talked about the shots for Kempe and Fiala, how I said that I believe their goal should be 8 shots on goal combined per game. Now, maybe 6 is probably more realistic, but it is a number I think that's important to track. They combined for 4 shots in this game. Kempe had 3. Fiala only was credited with 1, but he was a lot more active than that. It might seem, you look at that and you think, oh, he didn't have a very good night. I thought Kevin Fiala actually had a very active night. Again, his stick handling was great, had a great pass to Kempe. So overall, even though he only had the 1 assist and only the 1 shot on goal, I thought Kevin Fiala played a very solid game. Quentin Byfield's streak comes to an end. It was fun while it lasted. 6 straight games with a goal. Unfortunately, didn't get one in this one. That was one short of tying the longest goal streak in the NHL this season. The record was 7, held by a couple of different players. Q didn't really have any quality scoring chances in this one, but I did think that he looked confident in this game, noticeably confident. He played his typical game. He was flying all over the ice and was good defensively and being disruptive as far as guys carrying the puck. And I thought when he had the puck on his stick, to me he just looked more in control. And I thought he was looking for his shot a bit more, even though he was only credited with 1 shot on goal in the game. I saw him looking for it more in this one, I thought. And that's obviously a byproduct of how he's played of late. How could he not be confident scoring a goal in 6 straight games? And I think he understands that, especially in a game like this, hey, I'm a hot goal scorer right now. I owe it to my team to try and get a big goal. And again, even though he had just 1 credit of the 1 shot on goal, I thought he was aggressive. I thought he looked confident, and overall, I was okay with the game that Quinton Byfield played in this one. I did notice a couple of times Jim Hiller tried some different things on the power play unit, and it included Quinton Byfield. Now, he did have Andrei Kopitar out on the number 1 power play unit. I wonder if that was to take the faceoffs, because Kopi is a bit better in the faceoff circle than Q is. Although in this game, actually, they were pretty even. But Kopi had a couple of abbreviated shifts on the power play, and Byfield came over the boards early for him, like after 30, 35 seconds on 2 of the 4 power plays. So that was interesting. Also, there were a couple of times where Jim Hiller kept Byfield, Fiala, and Kempe out for the entire power play and only substituted a couple of other second unit guys out there. I think Brant Clark was one of them. So that was interesting too, that was trying to do some different things that appeared on the power play. I did want to mention Brant Clark. I thought he was very active, especially offensively in this game. He had 2 really nice chances to score in the second period. One of them when he crashed the net and got a shot on goal from point blank range on a pass from Trevor Moore. The save was made, and then Warren Fogle put in the rebound. Unfortunately, however, the goal was waved off because Clark, on that stuff-in attempt, did make contact with the goalie and knocked him out of position. Now, there was no penalty called on the play because it was just a player going to the net and making contact. It wasn't like an intentional, bump into the goalie, something like that would draw a penalty. So I thought it was the correct call. He did make contact with the goaltender and allowed him not to be able to play his position. But I like Brant Clark being aggressive and going to the net like that. I like any player being aggressive and going to the net like that, but especially a defenseman to jump up in the play like that, I thought was a very aggressive and mature play on his part, a confident play on his part. And then later in the second period, he and Trevor Moore had a beautiful give and go. Clark to Moore, right back to Clark, and Clark had his stick up in the air several times, telling his teammates, "I'm ready to shoot. Give me the puck." And he put a good shot on. Unfortunately, though, the save was made. So I thought Brant Clark played with a lot of confidence in this one. I thought he was very aggressive, looking for his shot, credited with 2 shots on goal. I thought defensively he was okay. Certainly no noticeable turnovers in his own zone or bad plays or bad coverage that I saw. So I thought an encouraging game for Brant Clark, especially him looking for his shot. And I think for Byfield and Clark, knowing that they're offensively gifted players, when you have a game that's a 1-goal game or you only have 1 goal on net, you're like, hey, I'm a good offensive player. I need to look more for my shot. And they did, and that was the right thing. Unfortunately, for both of them, they weren't able to get in the net. Alex Laferriere deserved a goal in this one. He was flying all over the ice. He had some great chances, including one amazing chance. Well, actually, it was 1 shift and 1 rush, but he had 3 scoring chances all on the same sequence. He had a nice shot on net, good save made. The rebound comes to him. He puts it on net again, save made again. And the 3rd shot on the rebound goes back to him. He's on his knees trying to stuff it or scoop it up into the net. The goalie's totally out of position at that point. He puts it on net, and the defenseman gets his stick on the goal line and swipes it away. I mean, incredible effort for Alex Laferriere. He deserved better on that. Led the Kings with 6 shots on goal. He had 3 on that one play, but had some good chances. And I hang with him, Laffy. I mean, keep doing what you're doing. I mean, great effort, getting some good chances. Sucks that none of them went in, but man, keep doing what you're doing. It'll eventually happen. But man, Alex Laferriere deserved a goal in that game. I did want to mention Andrei Kuzmenko. We're still waiting for him to get his first point as a King. Came really close. I think it was the first Kings shot on goal. It was definitely their best scoring chance earlier in the game. Had a heavy shot, and the goaltender made a pad save on him. But that was an impressive wrist shot for Kuzmenko. So still waiting. Hopefully he can get a point and a goal here in the near future. I did want to mention Mikey Anderson. I thought he saved a goal in this one. He had lost his stick, and that's a very uncomfortable position for a defenseman to be in. And it ended up Darcy Kemper was kind of out of the net. The puck came to the side of the net, and he was the only thing in between the shooter and an empty net, and he absolutely took it right in the breadbasket. The shot shook him up on the play, was down on the ice for a little while. Fortunately, he ended up being okay. May have got him in a very uncomfortable place for a man. Either way, you wear protection, and the equipment can save you from getting injured, but it doesn't always save you from getting hurt. So that's desire to make a play for your team. That's something I know his teammates respect and appreciate. And fortunately, Mikey okayed, but that was a good hockey play for Mikey Anderson. So real quick, check the team stats in the loss for Minnesota. Mentioned Kempe gets the only goal. Fiala and Drew Doughty also picking up an assist on that power play goal. Alex Laferriere, 6 shots on goal. Drew Doughty and Jordan Spence each had 4. Samuel Hellenius led the Kings with 4 hits. I think he's continuing to play very well. Putting him on that fourth line has, I think, made the Kings a better team. Mikey Anderson also had 3 hits in this one. Andrei Kopitar and Joel Edmondson each had 4 blocked shots to lead the team. Drew Doughty led the Kings in time on ice, 24 minutes, 25 seconds, although 4 of the other 5 defensemen were in the 16 to 18 minute range. So a fairly even distribution of minutes as far as the defense goes. Samuel Hellenius won 5 of 9 draws that he took, led the team with a 55.6% face-off winning percentage. Pretty good for a 6'6" guy. I'm no expert on taking faceoffs, but I would guess the lower you are to the ice, it would seem to help you win faceoffs. But for a 6'6" Hellenius to win 5 of the 9 draws he took, that's good, and that helps to get him out on the ice more. If you're a fourth line player and the head coach feels you're a liability in the faceoff circle, might influence his decision to put you on the ice, certainly late in the game. But Samuel Hellenius doing a pretty good job, I think, as the Kings' fourth line center. All right, coming up next, we will update you on the latest Pacific Division standings. That's next. You're on Locked On LA Kings, your team every day. You ever check your bank account and wonder, where did my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you a full visibility control of your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It is a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending all in one place. So just stop managing your money and start building wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use the code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNHL for half off your first year.
The NCAA tournament is here, and so is the Bracket Breakdown.
Locked On Podcast Network and Amazon Fire TV channels are teaming up to deliver NCAA tournament coverage like never before. Watch studio shows featuring former players and Locked On's local experts as they guide you through every upset, buzzer beater, and bracket matchup.
Stream it all for free on Amazon Fire TV channel. Search Bracket Breakdown to see it all for free.
It's your team every day.
All right, let's check the Pacific Division standings. A missed opportunity for the LA Kings to move back into second place in the division. Vegas Golden Knights still on top, 39-20-8 for 86 points. They lost to Detroit 3-0 on Sunday. They will be off coming up on Tuesday. The Edmonton Oilers remain in second place, 1 point up on the Kings, record of 39-24-4 for 82 points. They did beat the Rangers on Sunday 3-1. They will play Tuesday against the Utah Hockey Club. That's a home game for Edmonton. So the Kings, again, 81 points, record of 36-20-9. So stay 1 point back of the Oilers. They still have a game in hand on Edmonton, and they still have 2 head-to-head matchups against the Oilers as well. So I did want to mention one thing when it comes to the playoffs coming up. I was listening to NHL Network Radio in the car as I was driving around today, and nice to see that they were actually talking about the Kings a little bit. They don't do that very often, but they were talking about Quentin Byfield in particular. And one of the main hosts was going off about the current playoff format, talking about how it's unfair. You're probably going to see Colorado and Dallas play in the first round, and 2 of the top 4 teams in the Western Conference going head-to-head there, and one of them is out in the first round, and he was unfair. They need to go to a 1-8 matchup and so on and so forth. And they also referenced, it looks like LA and Edmonton are going to play for a 4th year in a row, and that's not very exciting. So they were opining about how the NHL needs to change the playoff format. I don't really have a problem with that opinion. I can understand where they're coming from, and it does make some sense. But I would just say that the NHL has this current playoff format because they believe rivalries in the playoffs are something that attracts fan interest. So I think it's pretty safe to say that as Kings fans, we have a pretty healthy hatred of the Edmonton Oilers. Now, maybe those fans are sick of seeing the Kings in the first round, but of course they've won 3 in a row. Maybe they like it. It's certainly not a matchup that I don't think a lot of people are going to be looking at as, I got to see that series because I haven't seen that before. Yeah, we've seen it before, and we've seen it recently before. I think maybe it would feel a little different if the series had been a little bit more competitive and a little bit more intriguing. That hasn't been the case, at least for last year for sure. But we'll see. I get where the NHL is coming from. I understand what they're trying to do. And again, they have created a rivalry, certainly between the Kings and the Oilers. But I also get the point about maybe going back to a 1-8 to make the regular season a little bit more important, to be rewarded more for having a better regular season. So I thought it was interesting. I'm sure it's a discussion and an argument that'll come up again once we get closer to the playoffs, but it is looking like Kings Oilers round 4 in this one. And I will say, because of that rivalry, if the Kings are able to win this time, it will feel more, I think, like more than just like a first round playoff win typically, because the Kings hopefully will finally be able to get over the hump and kind of slay, their nemesis. But we'll see. I get the argument, but it's going to be a narrative that's going to be brought up around playoff time, and was something that I saw, heard discussed today, and thought I'd chime in on it. All right, the Kings are off for 2 days. They're going to play in Chicago on Thursday. Kings 0-2 against the lowly Blackhawks this season, so really feels like a big game now. And the Kings really need 2 points against a team that obviously is going nowhere this year in the Chicago Blackhawks. We shall see. The Blackhawks have obviously given the Kings some trouble this year. All right, for you everydayers, those of you that listen and watch Locked On LA Kings every day, coming up on Tuesday, we're going to get you caught up on what's going on with the Ontario Reign and their playoff push, as well as give you a Kings prospect update. How are guys winding up their junior seasons or their college seasons, and which players are going to be playing postseason hockey as well. We're going to also just get you updated on everything going on with the players and the teams related to the Kings that we haven't talked about a lot lately because the Kings have 2 days off. So we're going to update you again on the Ontario Reign, what's been going on with them, and also a prospect report as well. If you want to send an email into the show for our Friday fan feedback show or anything else, the email address is lockedoneddie@gmail.com, EDDIE. You're always welcome to post your thoughts on each show if you're watching on YouTube in the comments section. And we invite you to stay connected with the show on social media, X, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. We're at Locked On LA Kings. I'm Eddie Garcia. Thanks, as always, for listening and watching this episode of Locked On LA Kings, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Have a great rest of your day. We will talk to you tomorrow. And as always, go Kings, go.